This is a Colt Mustang +2. And this is another episode of the National Shooting Sports Month video series here, August 2025. I'm Rob Pincus, and this, while it's a 1990s gun, to me is like the epitome of my thought process about carry guns, concealed carry, defensive guns from the 1980s. And you gotta remember, in the 1980s, I was in elementary school, middle school, high school. I was pretty well read on the subject, spent a lot of time shooting, definitely had done the work, I guess, but resources were limited and my knowledge and experience was limited, and I was still enamored with single action guns and the 1911 design in general. I also thought, well, 380 is probably good enough as a carry gun. I really don't feel that way in 2025, haven't felt that way in a long time. I mean, yeah, better than nothing, wouldn't want to get shot by one, all of those things, but definitely not this gun. However, in the early 90s, when I was in college, and maybe a little more educated, but still into 1911 and single action guns, my father, who had left law enforcement and never really was a gun guy, was working in executive protection, and he said, hey, I talked to somebody thinking about getting a Colt. What gun do you recommend? So I jumped into the research, which, I don't know, magazines, it was pre-internet, but maybe a bulletin board system I jumped on and found out about the brand new, at that time, Mustang +2. And the +2 at the time, this can get confusing because if you go out and look at when Colt rebooted these guns, they discontinued them in the late 90s and they rebooted the Mustang series around 2011. But in the middle of the Mustang series, somewhere around the mid 90s, they had changed the Colt Mustang capacity from 5-to-1 to 6-to-1. So this is a 7+1 capacity 380 ACP gun, and that's why it's +2, even though the Mustang, as you'll find it in most of its iterations and most of the Mustangs out there, the regular ones are actually 6+1, so you only get one round advantage. The biggest advantage, in retrospect, the biggest advantage of this gun isn't really the +1 now, it's really the grip size. It's the fact that you can get a full grip. The difference between the Mustang +2 and the government model 380, the scaled down government model 380, is actually slide and barrel length. So with the +2, you end up in a situation where you give up slide and barrel. So you give up muzzle velocity, which could be important in the little 380. You give up sight radius, not that these sights are great anyway, and they are obviously part of the slide. And you gain the full grip, but you don't really gain the full grip. You gain the full grip over the Mustang, but not the government model. So if you were a 380 person and you wanted to go out and get one of these for some reason as your carry gun and you were in the single action, I guess the better version is the government model, which gives you this full grip, but also gives you the full slide. We know the slide and barrel are easier to conceal than the grip. If you want the deep concealment version, you go with the Mustang regular one, or the pocket light one was another version that they had of the Mustang. Now, it kind of looks like you would think, but it's not really 1911 when you get right down to it. You can see that the safety is obviously a different type. It doesn't come up into the slide. It's actually surprisingly easy to use. It's way easier to use than like the SIG, tiny little micro SIG 9 or 380s, which to me have an almost impossible. And some of them newer versions, the Evolve versions, they have a good, decent, I would say anyway, safety, but the regular ones that come in that line, the 238, I think it is, they're horrible. Maybe this one is actually really usable, which is nice. The Pachmayr grips probably don't hurt because you can see that they're kind of thick around the frame, so those big Pachmayr grips, definitely not a bad idea. The slide moves when the safety's on. That's something you wouldn't normally see with the 1911. The other thing you wouldn't normally see with the 1911 is that little pin that goes through right there. That tells me that this is a pivoting trigger, right? So again, we'll just one more time check that it's clear, and we'll see that this trigger does not go straight back in like a 1911 trigger, but it pivots. So sort of like the Star, I mentioned the Star, the old Star PD was a pivoting trigger, even though it looked like a 1911. So this isn't really, even though it's from Colt, this isn't really a 1911 kind of gun. It's a 380. It's a scaled down government model type thing, but it is pretty unique. You also notice it has a big slide stop, slide release lever. So oddly on this little gun, the controls are actually really good. The grip feels good for this little gun. And if you were going to, and this is what most, I think, Mustang collectors, aficionados would agree, the Mustang +2 gives you the best shooting, smallest version of the 380 1911 type pistol. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it's some kind of target gun or whatever, but let's see, I've got I don't know, I got something to shoot at out there. And let's try this out. And it looks like, tuck the reading glasses down. Oh yeah, so I don't know, about a 3-inch group. I'm probably at about 15 yards, something like that. Not bad. The Colt Mustang Plus 2, definitely a relic from a bygone era of my thoughts on defensive firearms, and pretty cool piece from obviously an incredible American manufacturer.